Hi, we're back. And we're going to work on the StringGrid again today. And this is where we left off. This is the form that we've created. It's got 4 rows and 3 columns. And actually that's 5 rows, but this is a fixed row, can't enter into it. And it's actually 4 columns, but this is a fixed column. Can't enter into that either. So we end up with a 4x3 usable StringGrid area. Okay. And let's just run this and show where we left off. When it's first displayed, there's no column or row selected. You have to use the mouse, right? Well, actually there is. You notice my cursor, it's an arrow in all these other rows and columns, but in this one, it turns into that I-beam. If I were to type right now, no. Okay, yeah. So no specific column is selected. I have to click on this. And then the cursor appears in here, and now I can type in. So I could put in Larry, like that. And if you hit the tab key, it moves 1 column to the right. I hit the tab key, it moves again. And I can use the mouse and I can click anywhere. You see that? So I could put John in down here. Now that's probably not an ideal thing to allow. In other words, when I exit the first name, and if the last name for that person is not entered, I shouldn't be able to just come down here and enter first names or last names or anything. I mean, I shouldn't be able to go to the birth date without entering. If the last name is a required field, it shouldn't let me position into birth date. Well, we're going to address those kind of control issues with the StringGrid today. Okay? So let's close that. Okay. We'll highlight the StringGrid itself, and we'll come over here to events, and let's notice some things. Okay. With the StringGrid highlighted, in other words, this object up here that's highlighted, you'll notice we have all these events available. There's quite a few in here, right? And now if I go down here and pick columns, all the events disappeared. Or if I pick a specific column, there are no events for that. So that means, like, if I wanted the first name column to always, if I wanted first name when you type it in to be all caps, I have no way of doing that. If you look in the properties for this, it's the properties for the entire column, okay? Which, that's fine, because typically that'll all be first names. And if I want them capitalized, you would think, well, there's probably a way of doing that in here. But if you look down through this, there really isn't. I mean, that's the bottom of the list. And if you read down through here, there's no way to capitalize. You have no control over what happens in there. You got alignment of the data actually in the cell, the column, and for title, you have alignment for the title, which is now centered right now. We designed it to be centered. But there's nothing to control the actual entry, to restrict the characters that are typed. Now, in order to do that, we got to go back to StringGrid, that object. Just selected it. And we have to go to events. Okay. So what can I do? Let's look down through here. And okay, we have a key down event, right? For this whole grid, for the entire string grid. We have a key down, a key press, and a key up event. So depending on what column I'm in, I'm going to have to figure out how, first of all, I have to know what column I'm in. And then I have to detect what key was pressed somehow and determine what I'm going to do with it. Okay, that's the situation we're in. So let's take a look at this and see how we're going to handle this. So if I select key down, and then we look at the information that's displayed here at the bottom. All right. We selected key down. It says that this key event property with the event handler signaled to handle a key down event for the control. The key event handler receives keys including control and other non-visual keys. Okay? So key down is only going to get triggered, I think, if I press like a cursor positioning key or one of the function keys or a tab key or the enter key, any key that doesn't really print a character, that doesn't show or display a character when it's pressed. Now, we have the on-key press event. That's this one. And it says this handler only receives characters, not control or special key codes. For control keys, that event should be handled by the on-key down handler instead. It says the handler can be used to convert the character into a different one. Okay? So if I want to capitalize letters entered for the first name, first of all, I have to know the column I'm in when the key was pressed. And then I have to know what letter was pressed. And then if I want to convert it from lower to uppercase, then I can do that. Okay. So let's take a look and see how we could do that. So we're on the on-key press event. Okay, if I double-click this box, it's going to create the event handler skeleton code for me, and then I can go in and add to it. So let's do that. I'll double-click on this box. And we can see here in our code that we now have StringGrid 1, which is the name of our string grid, right? That's what this is right here. And then we have the name of the event, key press event. And what does it pass us? Well, it's the sender object, and then we get a variable, and it's key, and it's a character. Okay? So we can use key, we can look at key and see what it is. Now let's quickly just back up a moment and let's look up here in our uses clause. There is a predefined unit which defines all of the character codes. Okay? And it is called LCL type. So let's, first of all, it's going off into the margin there, and I don't like that. So let's wrap this. And now let's put in LCL type. Okay. All right. And you'll notice now that we hover over it, it's showing me this unit. And if I actually click on the source code, we can bring up that unit and take a look at it. So let's do that. All right. It's component, library, Windows controls. All right. And let's scan down through here. And it's mostly defining they're not really constants. They're kind of like a macro. Okay. Here are constants. Max byte, max word. You can see it's giving the size of the size of a D word and the hexadecimal value for it. And it's assigning it to this constant. Okay. That's not really what we're interested in. Let's scan down through here. Wow, there's a lot of stuff in here. Keyboard constants. Okay, now we're starting to get close. Okay, here we go. Left button, right button, cancel, back. This is the backspace key. This is the value for the tab key. Okay, this is, I think VK means, is that virtual key? Virtual key. So a 0 typed on the keyboard is virtual key 0, VK underscore 0, and it has a value. Now, $ means this is a hexadecimal number. So it's a hexadecimal 30. So there's your, that's your virtual key for 0, and it goes clear through 9. Okay. It says 3A through 40 is undefined. Virtual key capital A, hexadecimal 41, and so on, right? This is number pad stuff. This is all the keys on the number pad. And then it goes to your function keys. So function key 1 up to 24. I think the shift key is used to give you function keys 13 through 24, I believe. Okay. And there are runs of codes which are not assigned to anything. Numlock, scroll. Okay. Left shift, right shift. bunch of keys. Anyway, that's what we're going to use when we want to test a key. We want to test a key code. So you have to include it. If you're going to do that, you need to include LCL type in your program, like we did. Okay? I just wanted to show you that. And we've now included it. So all those virtual keys are now defined for our program. All righty. And let's move on to the next thing. Okay. Let's go back to our form. Okay, and we were in here, and we have just defined key press. All right. So let's go back to key press, which is right here. Now, if we have to know what column we're in. So I'm going to only do this for first name. All right. So let's create a little constant in our implementation here. I'll stick it right here. I think this will work. So we're going to have a constant, right? And the constant's going to be the column names. So I'm going to just say F name and give it a value of 1. And let's see if that's a good idea to do it that way. Take a look here. I don't know if I did that here. Okay, I guess a better way of doing that is to use a define. A better way to do that is to use a define. So let's not do it this way. We will do a define. Define F name, and let's see here. And you use it like a Pascal. And I need to enclose that in curly braces too. Better do that. There we go. And end that. All right. And I need to say equals. So I better do that. So that is, that is the way you do it. You would do it in Pascal. So now, wherever I use F name, it's going to substitute a 1. Okay? So I guess you might as well define last name. Do that. Call that L name. That's column 2, right? And we got a birth date. So we might as well do that one too. We might as well define them all. Define B date. And we're going to say that's equal to, equal to 3. All right. Now, is it going to complain about this? Let's just do a test compile and see if it complains about that. Yes. I have to tell it that macros are on. So we need to do that. I think that's this macro. Oops, I gotta leave it, put an A in there. It doesn't know what MCRO is. And how do you do that exactly? Oh, you just say on. Okay, you just tell it it's turned on. Like that. Okay. Let's try compiling now and see if it, come on. Okay, it has no problem with it now. So you need to turn macros on, and then you define your macros, all right? Okay. So we're going to have to be in column 1 when we're typing. So let's do if, and it's called StringGrid 1, StringGrid 1 dot COL equals fname. Okay, you see how that worked? Then begin. I'm going to say begin right now. I don't know if that's going to work out right. Okay. Now you'll notice that it brings back key, and it's a type character. So we can say if the key is greater than or equal to, and it's virtual key underscore A, what? Blah, 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 blah. How do I do lowercase a? Let's take a look at our stuff here. Virtual keys. Down here. There's capital letters. Where's the lowercase letters? Isn't that interesting? Do you see lowercase letters? I don't see them. I don't see lowercase letters here defined. Isn't that interesting? Why didn't they put in lowercase? Isn't that interesting? These are the uppercase. That's kind of interesting. So I can't use these predefined macros. Well, they're constants rather. They're not macros. They're constants. I can't use them to test my character range. So I'll just have to do it the old-fashioned way. That's what I'll have to do. So I will say if it's greater than or equal to A, and the key is less than or equal to z, that's lowercase z, then we're going to do something, right? Now, what are we going to do? We're going to alter the value of key. So what we'll do, A happens to be hexadecimal. What's that? Hexadecimal 81? I don't remember. No, it's not 81. Whatever it is, I'm going to say that the value of key is going to be reset to, equal to, the value of key minus the ordinal. In other words, it's kind of an integer conversion. It's converting a byte to an integer, and it's going to be A, and then I'm going to add the value, the ordinal value of a capital A. And I could use VK for this, right? Okay. Now that will capitalize every lowercase key press just for that column, because the key press event will happen no matter what column letters are being entered in. But that if statement that I'm providing here is restricting this to just that column. See, it's only first name. So I think this will work. Well, let's compile it. Let's run it. Let's see if it works. So we're going to run it. A then is expected. What? Then expected, but that found. Oh, maybe I don't need these semicolons. Maybe that's the problem. Okay, let's get rid of those. Huh, okay. Let's save that. Let's try running it. So it's saying the operator is not overloaded. Character minus byte. Ah. Do I just say ordinal of key? Can I do that? Can I say ORD of key? Maybe that's what it doesn't like. Give that a shot. Run. It's saying incompatible types. I got an int64, but I expected character. Maybe it is, maybe I don't need to do ORD that. Let's see if that fixes it. Save it. Okay, let's run it again. Got a int64 but expected character. What's that LCL type? Oh, okay. Huh. Do they say what these are? They're constants. Weird. So, I wonder what I wonder what I did there. Let's see. Let's see what I did there. I did something wrong. I thought this was going to be easy. Nothing's easy. Alrighty, we're looking. Alrighty. Yeah, I'm translating tab keys. Here we go. Oh, this is convoluted. That's interesting. You didn't have any problems with key equaling this. So what is it? It's having a problem with my ordinals. Ordinal key. No, ordinal key is okay. And ordinal A is okay. You know, I'm just going to put in ordinal capital A and not do this VK thing. I think that's our problem. So we're not going to do that. We're going to just say do the ordinal of, and then that's going to be, that's going to be A. And let's see if that fixes it. Okay. We'll save that and then we'll run it. Okay. The ordinal of key minus the ordinal of A. So that would convert it back to 0. If it's a lowercase a. Now if it was a B, it should come up with the number 1. And then add it to the value of a capital A, and it would give it a capital B. So let me just enclose this. Let's try compiling that, running it. Okay. It expected a character. Do I have to take this and convert it to character? Maybe that's the problem. Yeah, let's just call this character and see what happens here. Take that whole thing, convert that to a character. Is that going to fix it? It sure doesn't like what I'm doing there. And there it is. The problem was ORD converts these to 64-bit. And I was trying to set key, which is of type character, to a 64-bit number, and it didn't like it. As soon as I convert it to a character, it's fine. All right. Well, let's go into first name and see if I fixed it. So I'm going to type in lowercase Larry, A, and there we go. Okay, so that now converts whatever you type in there to caps. All right. What if I type a number in? Now there's not numbers in names. So we see we still have an issue. If we're going to restrict data entry here, then we need to do something further. Okay. So let's close that. So in our comment here, probably before this whole thing, I mean it's not really necessary, but okay, I'm gonna say so this is key press event, okay. And then in here, we're going to say if in column 1, which is the first name. All right, that tells us where we are. Then we're also going to say then we're going to say if lowercase entry, we could say promote to uppercase. There we go. That's describing what we're doing. Now that's if it's a lowercase entry. What if it's what if it's a number? Okay. So now we need an else, don't we? So we can say else if key is greater than or equal to 0. And key is less than or equal to 9, then what are we going to do? Well, we can say the key is equal to 0. I think that's what we want. So we will just say key equals, I'll say character just to be safe. Try that. Okay. All right. Let's see if that works. Let's save it, and then let's run it. I don't think it liked this semicolon. I forgot to take the semicolon out. All right, let's do this again. It doesn't like, oh, I didn't make it a character. I'm comparing it to an integer. Didn't like that. All right, let's run it. Looking better. Okay, now we're going to go put Larry in again. It's doing the A. Let's do 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. I just typed 1, 2, 3. Nothing. Okay, so it's not letting me put numbers in now. That restricts that. So we're done. We've made it a little more robust. So now right here on this line, come on. Well, that's odd. There we go. There we go. And it's going to say numeric entry is not allowed. There we go. All right. So we've done a few things here. So we've tested what column we're in. We have to do that to determine how the key press event's going to be handled. We could do something completely different for last name. Let's do something different for last name. Okay. So now we will say, and actually we can just steal, not steal, but we can copy a lot of this stuff and do Control C, Control V. All right, so, and we better, we got an end. We better put an end on this. It's an end for that begin. All right. Let's do the opposite. We're going to make last name always be lowercase. How about that? Z. Okay. And we're going to say, just flip these, right? So now what it'll do is it'll say, well, if it's so if it's an uppercase A through Z, it will take the value of the key, subtract lowercase a from it, and then it will add uppercase A. So if I typed a capital B in, it would subtract the value, the lesser value from that. It would leave a 1, and then it would add 1 to lowercase a, and that would be a lowercase b, since they're sequential. All right. Let's see if we got that working. All right. Run. Okay. So now we type a lowercase a, L, L-A, we tab, type in lowercase L-A, it takes it. Let's type in uppercase L-A. Oh! Why didn't that work? Oh, first name. I didn't change this to last name. This is what happens when you just copy code. Okay, that's last name. There we go. Now it's going to work. For sure. Jeez. Some days. Getting to be more of them as I get older, too. Okay, uppercase. I got to select it. All right. Now we go uppercase L-A, and then we do lowercase L-A, and there you go. Now we go to the tab to the next one. We do uppercase L-A, and we do lowercase L-A, and there we go. It's always lowercase now. Now we got birth date. Oh boy. Now a birth date can only have certain letters in it and numbers, right? So now we're going to do birth date. So if I'm going to add that, now I have to add an if statement for when we're in the birth date column. I hope you guys are seeing how this works. Home, tab, and I got to keep my comments accurate here. So this is if in column 2, and that's last name. All right, that takes care of that one. And it's going to be uppercase entry, uppercase entry, promote to lowercase. All right, that cleaned that up. Now we're going to say if in column 3, which is the birth date, what are we going to do? Okay, excuse me. We're going to first test to see that we're in the column. So we got to say if the StringGrid 1 column is equal to bdate, right? Then begin. And I'm just going to go ahead here and put the end in. All right. So we're going to say this one's a little more complex. So if the character that's typed in, if that key is in the range from greater than or equal to 0 and it's less than or equal to 9, and I gotta not forget these are characters, they're not integers, so we gotta make sure we put the single quotes around them to indicate they're characters. Then it's good. So I want to change that logic now. I want to say if it's less than this, or, not and, or it's greater than this, right? Then we got a problem, and it's not in the range we're looking for. Okay. And I'm going to show you a problem with this. I'm going to let this go. Now we need a separator, because when you're typing a date in, you usually, we're going to call it, we're going to use a slash. Okay. So we're going to say if this or this is true, okay, this whole thing, and if that or that is true, and the key, the key is greater than or less than, is that or? If that or that's true, it's bad. And the key is I think it's or. The key is not equal to a slash. That's our separator. Is that right now? So it's not that. It's less than or greater than that, and it's not equal to that. Then key will be 0. We won't allow it. We'll do like we did for the numeric entry, not allowing numbers. Yeah. Okay. Then we're going to say the key is equal to a character with it's equal to a character 0. I think that works. Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see when we go to date, won't we? We'll save this and we will run it. Okay. And we know these work already. Let's just go to date and let's try typing a letter in or two. Okay, I just typed a bunch of letters in. It didn't allow it. Let's try 01 slash 01 slash 2025. Okay. We tried dashes, pluses, equal signs. Let me try backing up. Okay, it's going to let me back up because control characters are not handled by that event. Does Shift Tab work? Yes. So Shift Tab works. Tab works. End works. Will backspace work? Uh-oh. So, okay. Backspace doesn't work. I'm pressing it and it's not backing up. So how would I delete a character? So you see, we have to test to see if the key is a backspace. That's what we have to do. Because evidently backspace is not treated as a special character. Huh. How about that? And so we're going to have to say and the key is not equal to, and I think it's VK underscore What is that called? Is there a name for that? It's VK back. VK back. And we're going off the end here. So I'm going to wrap that to the next line. All right. And VK back is, we're comparing a character to a character. So I think I have to cast that to a character value. I think that fixes that. So now backspace should work. Save it. Let's try running it and see what happens. Okay. So the deal was we were typing in something with numbers and we hit the backspace. Now it works. Okay. So, does that mean these other ones I need to do that too? I don't think I do. Let's test that again. So if I type in and I hit a backspace, it works. Okay. Yeah. Backspace. Yeah, that works. That's because we're not disallowing. We were disallowing everything, okay? That's why we had to specifically state the backspace event, because this is a case where we disallow it, okay? We're disallowing anything that's less than 0 or greater than 9, and then we're setting key to 0. In these other cases, that's not what we did. So we're golden. We're good. All right. Well, I think that's pretty good for today. There's a lot more to cover with string grids, but at least we learned how to do some on-the-fly editing in our grid. So now we restrict It can only be uppercase here, only lowercase here, and only digits and forward slashes. Okay. Button's not hooked up yet. It doesn't do anything. And I just double clicked it and created a button event, which that's fine. I don't care. Let's just save what we got done today. And we'll call it a day. So if you found this demonstration of Lazarus and Free Pascal interesting or helpful, please give me a like. And if you want to see more of it, subscribe. I've been gaining more subscribers, and I love comments. If you want to leave a comment, please do. And you can like or dislike. I've had one dislike so far. So there's always one in the crowd. Anyway, have a nice day.